Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Travis Lutter to defeat Anderson Silva. And I'm here to talk about Viktoria Dudakova versus Istela Nunes. Victoria is 6-0 as a pro, 24 years old, and she's got 1 inch of height and 1 inch of reach over 6'4" Istela Nunes, who is 30 years old. Istela is a girl, I've seen both of these girls' fights. I think every one of Dudakova's fights. But Istela Nunes is the girl that I know as a fighter. I know her traits, and I will bet on them or against them, really, in every single fight. Because it's tough to identify traits, but with Istela Nunes, after 4 losses, it's clear to me that when she loses, it will be her fading and losing down the stretch. Whether it's getting finished in rounds 2 or 3, or losing a decision by losing rounds 2 and 3. That's how she's lost all 4 of her fights. Although they're to very good fighters. Yasmin Haragui beat her by TKO in the last one, and I know Haragui's not looking so great right now after last week, but everybody sees the potential there. She's a good enough fighter, and that was a fight in which Istela Nunes was hurting her early, looking really good early, and then got put away later. Sam Hughes, the one decision loss of hers, she was looking really good early, and then lost later. Rounds 2 and 3, Sam took over, got her down. She lost deep into the fight to Ariane Canellosi. We saw that one, rear naked choke in the UFC, round 3. And outside the UFC, she lost to Angela Lee, who's a very, very, very good fighter over in 1FC. And she got her out of there with an anaconda choke in round 2. I'm not saying Istela Nunes will always have bad cardio. She's won 4 decisions compared to just the one that she's lost. And I've seen her get a finish in round 3 over a capable journeywoman fighter, Caroline Martins, and she got her out of there in the 3rd round after being in an armbar deep in the 2nd round. But then she survived, looked good throughout, and in round 3 she was a much better fighter and hit her with like this Mortal Kombat combo where she hit her with 3 head kicks in a row. Istela Nunes, she doesn't always have bad cardio, but when she loses, it's always going to be due to her cardio and ground game, in my opinion, most of the time. I know Haragui got her out of there on the feet, but still, she will lose typically down the stretch, getting finished or losing a decision, having lost the last 2 rounds. And because I've identified that as a trait, I will bet on it in every single fight. Viktoria Dudakova, she is 6-0 again. She's got 1 win via TKO, 4 via submission, and 1 decision. The 1 TKO comes on the ground. It was a doctor stoppage after the 1st round, but she beat the shit out of her on the ground. Split her open. The 4 submissions, they're a little more scattered throughout, but she's definitely a girl that wants to be on top. She wants to be on top. Her first fight that she won, she got with an armbar from the guard, but she definitely is more comfortable on the top. I'd bet her the rear naked choke is her primary submission, because that's where she wants to be. She's got good enough judo and good to get you to the ground. I think judo's her background based on watching her fight. But there was one fight, 2 fights ago, where her judo was failing her. She ended up getting the submission in the 2nd round, but she missed multiple takedowns, being halfway there and then just losing the leverage battle. And she was planted on her ass. So I don't think the most of her overall wrestling ability, so to speak, or judo ability, you know what I mean, takedown ability. But the best performance of hers comes in her Maria Silva fight. And it was there for her in that fight, certainly. That's the best fighter she's beaten, and that is a very good fighter who I mentioned a few videos ago, a few weeks ago. I remember mentioning her name, saying she's UFC bound, that girl, Maria Silva. And she will be. She'll be in the UFC sooner than later. And that's a great win for Viktoria Dudakova. That was on the Contender Series. She was an underdog there, and she came through in a big way. Definitely a very good grappler, Dudakova. And even though I have doubts, because Istela Nunes, I expect to be a much better striker, or I don't know about much better, but a better striker. Viktoria Dudakova, I think, will get her to the ground. By the way, Viktoria Dudakova also had 1 finish via 32nd rear naked choke, and that was a knockdown that made that happen. She knocked the girl down and then put her right into her world. But typically she's got to get you down with takedowns, and that'll take a little longer. And I think Viktoria Dudakova, if she's able to get Istela Nunes down, she's going to suck some of the life out of her because girl's heavy on top, and I'm expecting her to get a late finish. So Viktoria Dudakova via rounds 2 and rounds 3, I've played those by submission, 800 and 1,000, round 2 and round 3. I just think it's really a bet against Istela Nunes' traits overall, and I've identified some shitty traits. I do think Istela Nunes is certainly not going to get dropped and give up, and she's going to be relatively difficult to take down just on that first level of defense alone with her movement. But Viktoria Dudakova, there's nothing flashy with her striking. She's pretty basic, not too, fast and strong and athletic, but she's pretty basic, which means she doesn't leave too many openings, and it's all just so she can get the fight to the ground. She's going to time an entry and make it a grappling match. Even if she's not able to get Istela Nunes to the ground, I'm expecting her to stuff her into the clinch and make it a grappling battle. So the pick is Viktoria Dudakova, makes it a grappling battle, and then starts winning more and more, and eventually gets her out of there via, call it a second round finish. That's what I'd say. But I bet on second and third, and Viktoria Dudakova is the pick. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.